The first thing is to float and pad an image. This is a content page in Canvas, and I have an image there. I've got a heading, right? The title of this article, or yeah, I think it's an article, this image. And then you'll notice there that the text is underneath it. And I've got an awful lot of white space on the page. I don't like white space on the page. I want it to be used attentively. So what I want to do is I want to make it look like this. And I have that image, it's on the page and it floats to the right, right? So that way the text flows around the image. And by floating it, it allows me to, again, control where the text is. I can also decide exactly how much space is in between the text and the image itself. Also, how much space is in between the image and the sides of the window. So I'm going to, again, go kind of back and forth and then pull up and show you the example. So there's what it looked like before. And here's after. And I should be able to show you this exactly. So let's see here. So this is a Canvas course. I'm looking at the pages view. So it's a list of all the pages. I have a page here called Float and Pad an Image. And oh my gosh, there it is. That's exactly what I had on my thing. So sometimes software demonstrations work out, although I realize that I have just cursed myself, right? Pride goeth before the fall. Okay, so I'm going to open up the editor, right? Select the edit button. This is the rich content editor. We're familiar with this. To go into code view, there's a button underneath the rich content editor that looks like the greater than, less than signs with a slash in between. And this puts me directly into code view. So I'm now looking at the code that when I switch back and forth, right, will show me what I'm looking at here. So what I see here is there's a heading, successor discourse. In fact, you can see it says heading 2 up there. So I'm going to see the H2 code. I'm going to see the image itself. And then underneath the image will be a bunch of text. So when I switch to code view, let's take a look. And there is that title, the successor discourse. You can see the H2 tag. So that's a heading tag. And then finally, I have the image, right? And I can see that it's got the IMG tag. So that's HTML for image. That's telling the browser, hey, the person who created this page, right now they're about to put an image up there. IMG is the tag. SRC is an attribute of the tag. So these are words that we use inside code, right? The tag is IMG for image. SRC is the attribute. And in this case, SRC is source. So if I were to pull up all of this junk here and go to this page, I would see, and I'm sorry, I'm going too much there. This is the attribute right there. That's the source, right? That's the file that I would see inside the page. Alt is the alt text. So this is actually an attribute of the image tag inside HTML. And you can see there's the alt text that I added. There's an attribute for width and height, okay, and some other stuff that's part of being part of Canvas. What I'm going to do to make it float is I'm going to find the code. I need to pull it up from another place. Okay, why can't I see my speaker notes? There we go. Okay. So the attribute that I'm going to add to this image tag is the style attribute. And I'm going to insert some, I'm going to give myself some white space to work with while I'm playing with code. I do this all the time. It helps keep me sane and keep me straight. So I've got the insertion point right after IMG before source. The order of the attributes almost always doesn't matter. So I could put it at the end of the IMG tag. That closes it, that slash greater than sign. But I'm going to put it in the middle here, right? So again, you see that I gave myself some white space to work with. As soon as I switch out of this HTML view, Canvas will eliminate all that white space. So I don't need to worry about extra spaces in this view. I'm going to paste the code that I just put in. So it's style. That's the attribute, right? The style attribute. And the style, the particular style thing I'm calling forward here is float. Okay, it's going to float. So the text will float around it. It's going to float to the right side of the window. And it has padding. These 4 paddings are top, right, bottom, and left. Top, right, bottom, and left. So it should have 0 pixels on the top, 0 pixels on the right. That makes sense because I'm floating it to the right side of the page or the right side of the window. 5 pixels on the bottom and then 10 pixels on the left. So as soon as I switch back to regular view, to rich content editor view, the image will have, that style will be in effect. And there it is. I'm going to go back into code view so we can see that Canvas both fixed the code in terms of getting rid of that white space, and also we can play around with those numbers. So let's go back into code view. So there's that image, right? You see style float up there. That's what I just pasted. I'm going to change the padding on the left side, which is the last number, from 10 pixels to 40 pixels. And let's see what that looks like differently. And there's more space on the left side than there was before. Wow, 40, that's not dramatic enough, Greg. Why don't we try something like 400? There we go. So you can see how changing those numbers can change the appearance of the image. In this case, it automatically resized the image because Canvas is responsively designed, which means it's going to try to fit everything it can within the width of the window it's working with. But if the window is too narrow, it's going to shrink things as it needs to. So I'm going to go back into code view, and let's go back to the original. Let's switch that back to 10 pixels. Okay. I'll go back into code view and I'll hit save. And now this page looks more like what I want it to look like.